In this video, which is part of the series from SchiffGold on gold and IRAs, we're going to be talking about 401ks. What is a 401k and how you can incorporate gold and silver into your 401k, the different ways that you can own gold and silver in your 401k plan, whether you own it through an ETF or actually own the physical bars and coins. And we're going to be talking about the advantages of the latter and how you can accomplish that by having a custodian that we can introduce you to at SchiffGold so that you can make gold, physical gold and silver, a part of your 401k retirement plan. Now, if you're not familiar with 401k plans, these are plans that are established by employers so that employees can invest some pre-tax income in their investment account. Of course, the benefit of that is obvious. If you can invest money pre-tax, you have a lot more money to invest because you're not paying the taxes. Of course, you pay the taxes eventually. They're deferred, but they're deferred to a later date. So in the meantime, you have that money working for you in your investment account, and you don't pay the taxes until you retire and start drawing the money out. And by that time, you may be in a lower tax bracket. But we know based on the time value, to the extent that you can pay taxes in the future, that's much better than paying them today. And in the meantime, you can take that money that you would otherwise just send to the government and invest it. But the key to investing is getting a real return. And when you're talking about a real return, you're talking about a return that exceeds the rate of inflation. And not just the rate of inflation that the government pretends, using the CPI, but the actual rate of inflation as measured by the increase in your cost of living. Because that's what you're going to have to deal with when you go to retire. It's not what the government claims has happened to prices, but what has actually happened. Because you're going to have to buy all the things that you need, and in theory, you're not going to be working anymore. So you're not going to have wages or salaries to help pay for it. You're going to need your investment income. You're going to need the income coming from your 401k. And I believe you have a much better chance of having a meaningful purchasing power coming from that 401k if you have a portion of that 401k in physical precious metals, gold or silver. And I've mentioned before in other videos that certainly if you have a 401k, you can have exposure to gold and silver in many different ways. You can own a ETF that owns physical gold or silver. You can invest in individual companies that mine gold or silver. You can invest in mutual funds that have portfolios of companies that invest in gold and silver mining companies. But you should also have some direct ownership of gold and silver, and you can do that in a 401k, provided that you are working with the right custodian. Now, first of all, you need to check with your employer, because employers are going to have their own rules on who can be the custodian and what can be invested in. So whether or not the option of physically or adding physical gold to your 401k is available to you, you need to talk to your employer. Now, it's a lot easier if it's your company, right? If you're self-employed and you're the only employee, for example, and you have a self-employed 401k, well, then it's simple, right? Because you make all the decisions, you're the employer, and you can work with SchiffGold to have physical gold, because as I've said many times, we are living in a major bubble. I think we have a bubble in the U.S. stock market, a bubble in the U.S. bond market, a bubble in the U.S. dollar. The air is going to come out. It's hard to know exactly when, but the pins are all there. I mean, in fact, I think that the bond market bubble has already peaked. But again, I mean, we're still early. There's a lot of air that's going to come out of that bubble. It looks to me like the dollar bubble is in the process of peaking. Stock market bubble maybe as well. But I think ultimately all three of these bubbles are going to be collapsing simultaneously, and gold is going to be one of the only safe havens around. Now, I do think there are going to be other investment markets around the world that are going to decouple from the U.S. market and will effectively provide investors with ports in the storm. But I think that gold and silver, physical gold and silver, are one of the tried and tested, negatively correlated ports in the storm. You have a lot of people around the world who can own physical gold as a reliable store of value, as an asset to go to in times of uncertainty, in times of political upheaval, in times of inflation and currency devaluation. And we seem to be having all of those things happening simultaneously. I think it's going to come to a head. I think the major crisis is going to be in the United States. It's going to be a dollar crisis. But remember, the dollar is the world's reserve currency. And if there's a crisis in the world's reserve currency, there is a crisis in all currencies. Currencies are basically backed by the dollar. And if their backing is not worth anything, then you have a loss of confidence worldwide. So people are going to be looking for safe havens worldwide, and they're all going to be looking to gold and silver. And so before everybody is rushing to buy, you want to buy yours first, and you certainly want to make sure to have your 401k to the extent that you have one. You want to make sure that you have a proper allocation of physical gold and silver anchoring that portfolio. Again, you can talk to your representative at SchiffGold if you don't understand this or you need more information on how to even set up a 401k for your company. If you own your own company and you don't have one, or if you're working for an employer, maybe your employer doesn't have one, he needs some information to offer one, or if your employer does have one but doesn't allow this, maybe he can modify the plan. SchiffGold can help you with that. Don't forget to watch the other videos that I'm recording in this series about gold and physical gold and IRAs and your retirement accounts. And if you like this video, if you found it helpful, remember to give it the thumbs up, and also make sure and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for listening.